Okay, I'm here without Atlas. Atlas has some human aggression related issues, and I think it's a fear reaction. And so he's not going to be in this video. The video above is a little video that I kind of snuck of him trying to meet me. And when I try to do meetings with aggressive dogs, a lot of times what I do is I create a scenario where there's some distractions and some positive reinforcers. So I had a line of treats on the sidewalk, and then there was some cheese in the grass, but he just couldn't get close enough. When he got close to a certain level, he just started barking, reacting. So we put him in back in his doggy room, and his guardians and I have been kind of chatting about stuff, and that's what we're going to talk about here. So the first thing we talked about is increasing his exercise. The guardians moved from a house without a yard to a house with a yard, so he's getting a lot more exercise now, but he needs a lot more than he's even getting. So I went through some creative ways of exercising, throwing the treats up and down the stairs, using the laser, playing fetch, which he already does, as well as scent games. And Google scent games. It's just really just hiding a couple treats around the bend so he comes around and sniffs it. So start the exercise journal. Remember to max him out. Don't exercise him with food in his stomach, but basically max him out. So throw the treats up and down the stairs until he says, you're crazy. I've been down there 48 times and not going down there anymore. Now we know what the maximum number is. Now, because this is a split level, what I would do is throw the first treat here. When he runs down and licks it up, remember, use the fun command word. And when he licks it up, say whatever the word is. And I probably wouldn't even do one when you're doing to this signal, this plateau here, because you want him to go all the way down the second flight of stairs. So throw one here. When he runs down and licks it up, then lean over the railing over there, and when he licks up, drop it so it goes down to the bottom of the stairs. And then lean over the railing. When he licks it up, remember, anytime he gets a treat, he should hear the command word after the treat goes in the mouth. So as soon as he licks it up, say the word Bahamas, or whatever the word is you want me to go south. And then call him all the way to the top of the stairs and give another one. And I think we're going to use Canada. There you go. And give him the treat and say Canada, and keep on throwing those up and down until eventually you won't have to throw the first one. He'll just go all the way. You just lean it over the side and he'll run all the way down there. So count each down up as one, and then keep doing it with an empty stomach the first time until he just says, you're crazy, I'm not going down anymore. And now you know what his maximum number is. Remember, you want to exercise him somewhere between 50 and 75% of his maximum number. You're going to identify what that is by keeping the exercise journal. So a new page for every day, write down the day at the top, write down the time, how long the walk was, the time, how many up, downs, and the stairs, the time, the number of fetches, the length of time you chase the laser, or the number of treats that you do for scent training. So the idea is also write down what time you feed him. If he freaks out at the vacuum cleaner or he barks at the window or anything like that, we write down that stuff as well, and then give him a letter grade from A through F at the end of the day. The next day, we start from scratch and we play around with the elements. If he got a low grade, maybe instead of doing 33 up, downs, and the stairs, maybe we do 50. Or we, instead of doing the up, downs, and the stairs 3 times a day, maybe we do it 5 times a day. So the idea is to keep on working with that and keep that journal so we can analyze data and see, you know what, he's most reactive when it's this period of time after he got exercised. Or is this reactive when the neighbor's doing this or doing that? And so eventually the data will help us kind of analyze what's going on. And for what the guardians do for a living, they're kind of good at analyzing data. So this will be right up to you guys' wheelhouse. All right, so the exercise is going to help quite a bit, but it's not going to fix the problems. Now, remember also to use exercise before things. Most people never think about exercising their dog before they take it for a walk. That's a wonderful way to have a great walk. So play a little fetch, give the dog 10 minutes to recover. Anytime you're doing exercise, he should have at least 10 minutes to recover before the person arrives. So before we go for the ride in the car or whatever it is, give them a chance to kind of reset. But if you're going to have construction people over, exercising them beforehand, that's a great way to set them up for success. I also forgot to put this in airplane mode, so if you see that it stops recording, please let me know. All right, so that's exercise, and after about a month of collecting that data, you'll kind of know how much exercise he needs, and then you can kind of work into your schedule appropriately. Now, we also talked a little bit about maintenance while I'm thinking about it. This is a split level house. He likes to sit on the couch and bark, and I see nose marks all over the windows. I know he's kind of barking at the window, and every time he barks at someone and they leave because they were just walking that way anyways, he thinks he defended the house. So for maintenance, I would get some white paper. Just go to Kinko's or Office Max. They have this 3 feet as long as you want. So I'd get that done and cut it so it's exact, so it looks nice and pretty. If he scratches off, put it on the outside of the window. And so I do these 2 windows, and I would do the window in his bedroom and any others that he can see out into a public area that he's reacted to. So just look to see if he's got nose marks on it, probably should be covered. But just the bottom part of the window, so you can still let sunlight in and you can still see, because we're taller, when we stand up, we can look out the window. This is not forever, but for a period of time to help him stop triggering. We're just trying to eliminate some of the things that are contributing to his problems to help him focus and identify whatever it is that we need to do, building up confidence and self-esteem. So we also talked about enforcing rules. That's a wonderful way for the humans to act like leaders. So very quickly for the rules, we're right now in the living room and there's kind of a white area rug on top of carpet around this area. So I'd say if anybody's eating at this table, he's not allowed to be on the area rug, but he's also not allowed to be just right here because this is too close as well. So maybe I might go, say, from the end of this table to the end of the entertainment credenza that the TV's on. And so that way we have a little bit more space. When there's nobody eating, he can come and go as he pleases, but not while we're eating. Not being allowed in the furniture, I guess, is the first rule I went over. I'd recommend you get X mats. Put those down on the couch so that way it kind of saves your spot for him. There should be about $11-12 a piece on Amazon or Chewy. Don't spend much more than that. And then I would also train him to use the dog bed at the same time we take away the furniture. If you forget how to do that, message me. I'm happy to share. It's pretty simple, so I think you remember. But if you forget, let me know. And forget anything, let me know. Well, dog related. All right. So another rule would be not allowed in the kitchen when we're preparing food. Having to sit at the door. And for the door, remember, we're going to keep doubling the length of time. So I go to the door and I say sit once. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, I will sit down at the table that will soon be there or somewhere in close proximity, but seated looks more, standing there looks temporary. So make sure you're seated somewhere. And then wait 1 minute. Ask your buddy Alexa to give you a 1 minute timer. Then after 1 minute, go back and tell him again. There we go. And then give him 3 seconds. If he doesn't sit this time, then I walk away for 2 minutes. Next time I walk away for 4 minutes, then for 8 minutes. Keep double the length of time. Don't tell him multiple times this or anything else. Say it once, give him 3 seconds. If he doesn't do it, show him I got other things to do. In this case, we're going to keep coming back. And in this case, you don't want to go outside, he does. And I want you to think of this rule as an equation. The end of the equation, the summary conclusion of the equation is the dog gets what it wants. In order to achieve that, the dog has to do something for me as a human first. So I go to the door. I don't want to go outside. The dog does. I say sit. If it sits, it gets to go through the door because as soon as it sits, I fly the door open. If it doesn't sit, nothing happens. So after a while, the dog will start doing what you want because you're not asking multiple times and you're showing him the only way you're going to get this is as soon as you sit, the door flies open. Eventually, he'll sit at the door and then you can do both directions at the door. Let me see. Don't let him go outdoors ahead of you if you're going through the door with him. You don't always have to go, but if you are going through, make sure he goes through after. Once you get him to sit at the door, thank you, Alexa. Alexa, cancel timer. I like this. Alexa actually listens to anybody. I have Google at home. It only works for the person whose voice it is. All right. So eventually he'll do it with both directions for that. But use that for other things as well. If he doesn't do it within that period of time, show him that I got other things going on. And don't ask him multiple times. All right, so making him earn things is going to really help, and that's why we went over petting with a purpose. Petting with a purpose is if he wants something from you, he nudges you, paws at you, you're going to tell him to sit. If he's already sitting, ask him to sit over here or ask him to lay down. When he does sit, pet him under his chin, say the word sit and only the word sit. I forgot to mention this, I think, during the session of the Guardians, but dogs typically hear the first word that we say. So the more words we say, the harder it is for them to understand. And if I say good sit, good this, I think I did say that. But try to say just sit, just the command word. And when you pet, and I say it twice. So I tell the dog to sit during command stage. Sit. If the dog sits, then I pet them and I say sit a second time while I'm giving them a treat or petting them to put in context, this is why you're getting the reward. I do it really especially for puppies, but I really have found it's just helpful to do it for the rest of the dog's life. So that where you're putting things in context. So for petting with a purpose, if he tells you what to do, nothing happens other than you give him a counter order. And if he does it, you pet him under his chin and then say sit and only sit and pet him once to an infinity number of sits. So this way he understands he has to earn that. And he's prepaying for it with the sit. Eventually he's going to come and sit in front of you to ask for the attention. When he does, make sure we do pet him for that as well. Remember, if somebody's petting without a purpose, we say paycheck. That person guesses that they forgot to pet without a purpose. They stop petting, even if they did it right. Tell them the dog to sit. When the dog sits, they pet it on the chin, say sit, and then they say, actually, you missed it. I did it the right way. All right, let me see. What else? We also went over passive training. Passive training is waiting for the dog to organically offer you the behavior that you want. Every time he brings you a toy, name each individual toy. All balls can be balls, all bones can be bones. But if he has one that's like a zebra, call it zebra. If he has a little elephant, call it Trump. Whatever it is that you want to do, but come up with a unique name for each toy that he brings you. Then you can say, no, I want Trump. No, I don't want Clinton. Take that to the trash. Bring me toy. So the idea is we create, again, and use those fun command words. But this way we create that command words for all these things so that we can have a deeper vocabulary and redirect him more effectively. Also, I use that for eating. Every time I take a bite of food for 3 months, say the command word. Every time he takes a drink of water, say water or agua or cocktails or Merlot or whatever your favorite one is. Every time he goes into his bedroom, call it like Holiday Inn. Or, come up with a funny word that means to the Ritz, whatever it is. He's about to come out of the Ritz. And so every time he potties, say the command word. So the more that you say the things in context of him doing it, the more likely he's going to be want to do those things in the future. Except for digging. All right. Let me see. What else did we go over? I went over the escalating consequences. I'm not going to go through them here because this is one of the things that I don't want everybody to use. So if you forget what those are, please message me and I'll be happy to go over them with you or send you a video for them. I'm also going to show, have a couple of videos linked above this one on a couple of exercises that'll help. I think I'm going to do probably a touch and a focus. And he also has some separation anxiety. So I think I already sent the Guardian the video on stay, so I probably won't have it included in there. But work on that multiple times a day. Try to teach him in different parts of the room. And again, do not add any distance until you can get 5 minutes of him staying right here. I forgot to mention it. I'm glad I remembered. So toys. I don't know how many toys he has. I usually ask people in our puppy class, how many toys does your dog have? They're like, so many. I'm like, how many? Like 7? I'm like, your dog should have at least 20. I had 50 for my dogs with 20 in reserve. 30 out and 20 in reserve. So every day I would take one of the toys, I would go to the closet, I had a long box, I put it at the beginning of the box, then I went to the end of the box, grab another toy and put that back in circulation. Otherwise, things get a little bit bored, or they'll get bored with the toys, and they make them last a little bit longer. So he needs an assortment of things that he can chew on. Now, I gave the Guardians a card here for the Green Spot, and the Green Spot people, this one doesn't have our logo. We should still get credit for sending you people. But I would get him some cow kneecaps. Those are a wonderful one. You can also get cow's ears, tracheas, cow's cheeks, bully sticks. If you get bully sticks, get the low odor bully sticks. The ones from the Green Spot are low odor. You can get the other ones cheaper on Amazon and Chewy places. You will know that they're cheaper because you will be smelling them. So I'd recommend getting the low odor ones. But getting him, when he is stressed out, giving him appropriate things to chew on can be very helpful. So for actual toys, I would like to see, he loves the antler. Get a couple more antlers. That's an elk antler that you have. You can also get a deer antler. I prefer to get ones that are round and not split down the axis. I'd also get him some nylabones. Nylabones should be rigid, and they come in different shapes. Everybody gets one that looks like a cartoon bone, that no bones actually look that way. I have one that's like a forearm. People think it's a different type of toy. I have one that's like a Tyrannosaurus. I have one that's like a donut. Having different, and they come in different flavors. They have barbecue. They have bacon. I don't like getting the chicken one though because I find it tastes like everything. It's another joke. But basically getting him these different ones and going to Amazon or Chewy, their cheapest place to get them. So if you can basically get him a variety of these different chew items, that way he has stuff that he can chew on. Another great one to get, it's expensive, but it will probably outlast the dog, is a water buffalo horn. Make sure it's not fully hollow. It's pretty expensive, so you might want to try to get it at a Petco or PetSmart. Yeah, I've ordered them online as well, but I mean, it'll smell like Africa for like a week or two. That's okay. Eventually the smell will go away, but it's a really durable thing for him to chew on. So getting him a plethora of appropriate chew toys is great, and at the end of the day, pick them all up, go put them back in the basket. So half the fun is going and picking them out and grabbing them and playing with them. And if he leaves it, you leave it out for the day, just the end of the night. Now, something else I'd like the Guardians to do is go to YouTube. We're going to set up a follow-up session because obviously I wasn't able to work with him. So watch the videos, the links that I have, especially for the focus exercise. I really want you to get good with the focus. And if I remember, I'm going to do a touch. If you're watching this, there's no link for a touch exercise above. Message me and I'll add it in there for you. But that's also a really good interactive game that I want you guys to master before we have our next session. However, you can also, and I really want you to focus on this stuff. Remember, 66 days is how long it takes to form a behavior pattern. So I want you to be very strict about this stuff for like 2.5 months, 3 months, and then at that point you start slacking off. But remember, inviting the dog to break a rule is not rewarding, it's confusing for them. Eventually the couch and furniture, stuff like that, but these rules should be in place for 66 days or as long as the problems are still going on. We also want to try to avoid taking him around places and things that are going to cause him to be reactive. So try to find times of the day when you can walk him where you're going to run into the fewest amount of people. And remember, if he starts staring, I guess this is a good time to go through it. What else? Oh, remind me about YouTube. So if the warning signs you're looking for most dogs, usually the first thing is freezing and staring. So if he's like walking, and he freezes, that's your first warning sign. Immediately look around your environment and see what he's freezing at. Staring, also they'll stare either directly with their head lowered or stare looking away, but they're staring. That's called avoidance. But it's freezing, breathing heavy or holding his breath, his ears going flat back, his pupils dilating. We call it whale eye when you see a lot of the white of his eye. Usually it's when they're looking sideways, you see a lot of white in their eye. Also looking at the tail. And I told the guardians I want them to, when he's in a happy, amicable mood, look at his tail, his body language, and his ears, and his head position. And then when he's in other states of mind, look at those, the ears, the head position, and the overall body and the tail. And after a while, if you can start to read your dog's body language, remember, the more you get him out of situations before he reacts, the better. Reacting is just practicing. So you're walking down the street, suddenly he starts pulling behind on the leash, or he freezes, or he lowers his head, or he's staring. You look, you see a dog at the end of the block, immediately turn around, walk the other way, walk across the street, walk around a car. And remember, once he's reacting, the best thing you do is increase the distance. I remembered YouTube. I don't need a reminder. I want the guardians to go to YouTube and find some easy dog tricks. He's an Aussie. They're usually pretty intelligent, pretty easy to train. So I want you to find some tricks and commands. Make sure they're positive reinforcement only. If he doesn't like it or it doesn't seem positive, run it by me and I'm happy to go over it with you. But a lot of dogs are reactive the way he is through fear. Boosting their self-esteem and confidence is a great way to help alleviate some of that. So one of the tricks that you can teach is teach the dog to actually carry all of the toys and put them in the basket. So that's a nice one because it's convenient for you. But also, I've seen people teach their dogs how to wipe their paws. That's a little bit more advanced. But just find a couple tricks or commands. And what I'd like you guys to do is I'd like each one of you guys to come up with a command. This week, I'm going to do it. So for the next couple of weeks, work on the stuff we're going over here. But after about 2 or 3 weeks, when you kind of get into a bit of a rhythm, then on Sunday or whatever day of the week, you go to YouTube, find a dog trick, bang, you're dead. And then all week long, you want to go outside, bang, you're dead. You want to eat, bang, you're dead. You want to do this, bang, you're dead. After a while, then you just look at the dog, he flops on his side. So the next week, then you take over, and the other guardian teaches him a different trick or command. And once he learns it, then you guys emphasize that one. So I'd like to see dogs with confidence issues to achieve at least 10 commands very consistently. So you want to be able to have the dog do it 10 times in a row without a treat to know that they have that as a command. Also, come up with a list of the official command words and put tape in their fridge and say vocabulary if somebody is using a different version of the word. Paycheck, I think you've forgotten to pet with a purpose. I usually testify as my way of saying passive training because I think it's funny. So if the dog comes up to me, somebody says testify, I look at the dog, I just start petting him. If he's standing, I'm going to say come because that's what I'm assuming he did. And I'm just going to narrate. If he's sitting, I pet him and say sit. Remember, pet him under his chin, avoid reaching over his head. Don't pet him when he's nervous, anxious, fearful, or any other unbalanced state of mind. And then when you come home, if he's excited, if he jumps up on you, freeze. Cross your arms across your chest and just look up the ceiling and don't move at all. If you turn away from him, that's what he wants. He wants it, so it's freeze. As soon as he jumps down, tell him to sit or lie down. He has to do something, get off of you before you even start the process. But then once he does that, he has to do something to earn it for petting with a purpose. So now you're redirecting him in a couple different things. So I freeze, I become boring when you jump up on me. When you get down, if you do something for me, then I'll pet you and play with you. Also, one of the guardians, probably both of them, one of them is probably better at better at hiding it than others, but I could be wrong. We can if we're stressed, we can actually stress out our dogs. And so if your dog comes up to you and he's putting his chin on your knee or on your thigh and you know that you're a little bit stressed out, stop. Whatever you're doing, take 5 minutes. Ask her, I'm not going to say her name, for a 5-minute timer. Close your eyes and pet your dog for 5 minutes. Petting your dog for longer than 5 minutes will release oxytocin, serotonin, and another endorphin into your brain, as well as into your dog's brain. So if you stop what you're doing and close your eyes, it helps you kind of start focusing a little bit using your other senses and just kind of get to know his body. His shoulder, and just kind of rub his shoulder and rotate it a little bit. And you're doing all this with your eyes closed. You're really getting into the dog. It's a very nice way for you to redirect your attention to get those pleasure endorphins going in. It's a nice form of meditation, and it helps you kind of channel. Eventually, you can actually give him a job. When my guardian's stressed, I come up and I put my knee on her chin, and then when he does that, come up with a word. Call it therapy or psychology, whatever you want to say. So every time he does that, say therapy and then pet him. And just say therapy once. Don't say the command words multiple times. But then that could be a sort of thing. If you start getting stressed out, you say therapy, he comes over and puts his chin down, and you close your eyes and you do that petting. So basically that's, let me see, is there anything else? Make sure you're eating something before you feed him. I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much everything. Is there anything else you want me to cover?
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Okay. It's like I've done this before. All right. So remember, if I don't hear from you, that means everything's going great. So what I want you to do is I want you to focus on this stuff for about a month and really get the petting with a purpose and all this stuff mastered. And I'm going to, like I said, show you a focus exercise. And I want you to get to that 15-second focus inside within 7 days, and then go do it in your backyard. Get that other 15-second focus within 2 days of being outside, and then eventually on walks when nobody's around. Also, the touch game. I want you to be able to go like this, and he comes over and touches you just the way I show you in the video above. So I want to get to achieve the touch, the focus, and the rule enforcement, and upping the exercise and the petting with a purpose and passive training. And then at that point, about a month and a half from now, we'd like to set up a 1-hour follow-up session. We'll probably start doing some bat training, where we'll start trying to introduce him to people in a structured way, but far enough away where he doesn't feel the need to react, and just build up his confidence that way. All right, well, this is where I would say this is Atlas, and this is Atlas's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.